Hi, it's me, Rachel, your crypto bestie, and today we're going to be going over PulseChain and why the language that PulseChain decided to use is so great. But before we get into that, make sure that you hit the like and subscribe because I'm here to tell you about all things crypto and keep you updated and talk about why certain cryptos are the way they are. So make sure you hit that like and subscribe, and let's dive right in. Now, the first time that I read this particular article was 2 years ago, and the reason why I read it is Richard Hart had just launched or released a statement on Twitter that he was delaying the PulseChain launch from May, okay? It was really interesting because he kept saying it was going to launch, and then it didn't, and that they were changing the programming language from Solidity to Go, which, like I said, was super interesting. And so this happened and I was like, I wonder why they would change that. And then it made me realize, oh my gosh, I have the background and also the skills to look up on Google why someone would change that. Why would they want to go from Solidity to Go? So right here, if we look, so why am I building a blockchain on Go? So this was written in 2017. The thing is Go has been around for a little while. It's Golang, which is the Google language. And so it is from that, which is kind of cool. But yeah, I think it's just so interesting. And I love this article because it really spells out why you would want to use Go for a blockchain. So we're going to go through it together because I love this article. And funny enough, this is actually an article I think back to maybe once a week because it has some really good things. So we're going to go through it together and kind of jump in and understand why someone making a blockchain would want to use Go. And I think that some of these reasons are why the PulseChain developers wanted to use Go for their language, because it honestly sounds really cool. All right, so they did this for something called Chain. It is not working. It's not up and running anymore, so which is fine. But a couple of things. Go is simple. It is really easy for people to learn. So it has a short learning curve. It's not super steep. And to be able to onboard successfully, it takes someone like a month to be an expert in it, which some programming languages are not like that. I'm going to tell you that right now. Sometimes they're really hard, which is fine. That is what it is. But Go is not one of those. So it's easy to master. It's also easy to maintain because of the learning curve. All right, to kind of get more into the nuts and bolts of it, so speed and efficiency is Go is a compiled language. It's not an interpreted language. And what that means is when a language is compiled, it goes through actually all of the code to put it together to run. And if there's an error in it, then it will stop and it won't be able to run. Whereas in interpreted language, it starts from the very top and just reads through the code and will start running the program, and then it could fail if there's an error somewhere in the code. So Go is like a fail fast, because if it doesn't compile at one certain point, it just won't start or run at all. Whereas interpreted, that doesn't happen, and so reduces overhead on the fly errors. And when it's first compiled, errors displayed asking to resolve, and only then code runs. And so a blockchain needs to be a very efficient, mainly due to the cryptographic calculations and the huge amount of data it has to propagate as well as store in the network. So this is a really good thing. Okay, next thing is it's built for a distributed system. So it has microservices and it has all these things that are built in. So you kind of don't have to reinvent the wheel, which is cool. And then we've seen our microservices built using Go easily scale to millions of requests as compared to PHP. Basically what this means is there are all these requests going on, which, in crypto, anyone in the world can be using it. So there's a lot going on with that, and it easily scales. Now, this is the paragraph. We are going to be reading it word for word because this is the paragraph I think about often. And I think that it's funny that a paragraph like this, just in some random article that I read 2 years ago, is something that I come back to. but we're going to go over it. So concurrency is the ability to run several programs or several parts of a program asynchronously or in parallel, which improves the throughput. Usually threads are used to achieve concurrency in languages such as Java and others. In Go, methods called Go routines are used. Go routines are methods or functions that can run with other functions in parallel. Certainly, a Go routine takes about 4 kilobytes of space in RAM. On the contrary, a thread takes up 1024 kilobytes in RAM. Hence, Go routines take up 250 times less space than threads in other languages, which makes it possible to run an increasing number of Go routines concurrently. Okay, so let's take a step back. When I was in college and I was learning about threading, also it can be called multi-threading, it's these different things that can happen in parallel, that they can happen at the exact same time. And I think that's super cool. It was one of those things where I was like, oh my gosh, we don't have to do the same thing over and over again. We can have it running at the exact same time and it gets done faster. So multi-threading is very impressive. So when I read this and I learned about Go and how it takes so much less space, like so much less space than what a thread would take, it just blew my mind. And it shows that Go routines and Go is a really good language to use for blockchains, because if we want to have, all this throughput, especially, with PulseChain, we want it to be able to scale to a huge number of people. Having this particular system that happens, it just means that, oh my gosh, it's just so cool. All right. And if we move down, so most of the stable blockchain-based apps and tools are built using Golang these days. So it is something that is used. Some of them aren't, but some of them are. So Go is that compiled language. Hence, it runs directly on the operating system. And this allows us to build technology like EVM, Ethereum, virtual machine in a much better way. And if you don't know, PulseChain is a fork from Ethereum. So the fact that we're able to run it directly on the operating system means that as the code is going through the pipeline, we're actually able to skip an entire step because the operating system is right next to the Ethereum, the EVM, whereas not all languages run on top of the operating system. And so there's an extra layer that they have to go down. So they have to go through a virtual machine to get to the operating system to then get to the other EVM. And so it takes one step away. And that shows, obviously, that doing that way, it reduces performance drastically. And we are here for really good performance. I love in this article that it gives us a couple of beautiful code examples, because also totally here for that. But Go is a very simple, concise, easy to learn language whose hallmark is pragmatism rather than syntaxical beauty. It was designed to solve software engineering problems in a team environment, and in this respect, it does the job admirably. The team that I'm over right now actually uses Go, which I love that. I think it's super cool. But I'll link this, so if you want it, I'll put it up top here, or up top here, and you can check this article out. But yeah. So PulseChain, to go back to it, Go is an amazing language to use for PulseChain. Solidity is a great language too, but it definitely does not have the power that Go has in the realm of being able to be directly on the operating system, where it can just go directly to the EVM. And then also on top of that, the concurrency with the Go routines, insane, like chef's kiss. So good. And I think that's really exciting, knowing that as a software developer, but also knowing that as someone that's on PulseChain, is it really does have the ability to scale. And we've seen in other blockchains that they have gone down, right? They say and they claim that they are so good in specific ways with their code that they can support so many blocks per second, but they aren't actually able to scale, because when that happens, they fail. So I feel like they're in a way kind of lying, because they're not able to continuously keep that up without failing. And PulseChain has not had a moment where it was down. So Go is amazing. So excited to see what's going to happen in PulseChain because of it. But I think that they picked a really good language. And even though it made us wait basically another year to get the product, which was 2 years ago that was decided, released last year. And now here we are, a year out from PulseChain's birthday. Birthday, literally birthday. And it's so exciting. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments below. I'd love to know, have you ever coded in Go? Have you ever coded in Solidity? Have you ever coded in general? What are your thoughts on it? And I will talk to y'all later. All right, bye.